Hello, I'm Adriana. I'm a Master Soul Path teacher and guide. Today, I have an intuitive reading for you. And this is a reading that I'm doing with the intention of giving you more heart centered context, heart centered understanding, and heart centered abundance. I love to do one on one readings for people because we can really get deep into what's going on and we can create action plans and things. Since this is not a one-on-one reading, I do ask that you really use this information responsibly, okay? And really discern and take for yourself what is the most helpful for you. And always remember that you are in control, you are in charge of your situation at all times, all right? Tarot readings, intuitive readings are never meant to be fatalistic. They are meant to empower you with more options for your free will. Okay. Okay. All right. Put you guys away until you're needed again. We need 2 more cards. Well, this is interesting. I did not draw with the past and the future. Should I pull them out again or should we keep going? I think we're going to pull them out. All right. Some watery energy going around here right now. Uh-huh. Okay. Lot of watery energy. We've got Cancer here, we've got Scorpio here, we've got actually double Cancer because we've got the moon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half the cards plus an honorary one from the 6 of Swords because that is a card that's passage over water. So to me, it's kind of associated with water. So we're looking at memories. We're looking at the realm of the subconscious. We are also looking at emotions and feelings. 6 of Swords says that you're on truly the part of your soul journey that has to do with healing. And because we've got the orcas on here, we're looking at the healing of deep ancestral wounds, likely from your mother's lineage, your mother's side. Again, I was mentioning Cancer shows up twice. Cancer is that energy of the mother and of the matriarchy, not the patriarchy, but like the matriarchy. So the things that are passed down from grandmother to mother to daughter or to granddaughter, those types of legacies. And so, in some ways, if you're an earth or a water sign, so if you're like a Taurus, Capricorn, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, Virgo, if you're one of those, your inner child is also feminine. And I feel like what's going on is we're really trying to heal the inner feminine child. But at the same time, we're challenged by the Prince of Wands, which would be the inner child, but in the masculine. So what's really going on there? Because there was a sense of play or a sense of fun that was completely snuffed out of your childhood. There was definitely an element of joy that was denied to you because of, again, something that was passed down from the mother's side. Things that can be passed down from the mother's side are a lot of stuff. It can be self-esteem. It can be caring for others before taking care of the self. It can be toxic relationships with the female. So like if your mother had a toxic relationship with her mother and you have a toxic relationship with her, it can also be the energy of emasculation, taking away the power from others. over nurturing so that you're there too much, you do too much for those around you, or under nurturing. Um, there's a lot of different ways that the masculine that the inner child is affected by these mother wounds. Um, it feels a bit heavy to me, and so if it looks like I'm having trouble speaking, it's because there's an emotional weight that's coming through with this energy here. So the Prince of Wands is that light, it's that courage, it's that desire to just be yourself. And a lot of that seems to have been squelched. And the reason why this is coming back is in your current situation, you're not able to fully express that energy all the time. And it's hard to express that childlike innocence and joy if you're having to be the parent or the adult constantly. And I feel like with the Six of Swords and the Four of Cups coming up very close together, you're actively trying to heal this. You're actively working to become more and more aware. And I want to say that's really positive. That's really a good thing. Because Four of Cups is taking the conscious. I like the Four of Cups where it is because it's in the conscious position. So the way you're aware or the way you're dealing with this conflict where you're saying, okay, I recognize that I'm still in this process of healing. I'm still in this process of putting myself back together from the time of childhood. I still realize I'm holding some of these childhood wounds. You're taking that and you're going actually into your subconscious through meditation. You're going inward and really self-reflecting on why you're feeling stuck. And there is this creative force within you that's trying to give birth to something. And Prince of Wands is messages, but I love the fantasy in this card. There's that unicorn on the bottom. And he is connected to that realm of imagination and that realm of joy and going beyond what's possible. And so this is just a little aside, but imagination is one of the most important things we can cultivate in ourselves and in kids, because imagination turns into manifestation as an adult, right? Imagination is the ability to play without the limits of reality. It's the ability to create without confinement or without constraint or without no, that's impossible or no, you can't. It's where the inner child and the higher self kind of play freely together. And it's that feeling of fun and expansion that can truly help us when we try to manifest as adults. Problem is sometimes as adults, we're trying to manifest big things. We're trying to manifest jobs or life partners or new situations or work opportunities or houses or cars. And we need these things, right? So there's that kind of a heaviness to what we're trying to manifest. But we really need to tap back into that world of imagination, and anything is possible. And I don't know if you've ever played make believe with a kid or imagination. It's like your world starts with something, and you guys are interacting in the context of the world, and then but then this happens, and then this happens, and you're like, whoa, where are you going with this? It's like they just keep building and building and building and building. And we lose so much of that. So this reconnecting with your inner child is not just self-indulgent. It's actually trying to help you become a better adult by helping you become a more powerful manifester. And when you understand your power as a manifester, then you come as someone who's very responsible for what happens to you and for what you're putting out in the world. And hopefully we get to a place where what you manifest also benefits others as well. When you manifest anything material, you are actually manifesting abundance for other people on the other side, right? Someone has to sell you that car, someone has to sell you that house. So there's this exchange that happens, but all of that gets stilted or squelched if we don't truly have that line to the inner child that knows how to play and how to create. Okay, Now, in the subconscious, we have the moon, and that's like a double whammy because the moon does rule the subconscious. So you're going back to the source. You're going right to that ancestral place of where the wound started. And again, there's such a heavy feeling here. Can you tell me a little bit why this is feeling so heavy? Okay, the Emperor. I feel like this pattern has been in place for such a long time. The Emperor is like the stabilizing force or the coalesced energy that's in a system. It's also possible that the male or the father figure in your life caused the mother or kind of supported this toxic pattern from your mother. And so it's really heavy in there. There's a weight to it that doesn't want to be shifted. And it really kind of feels, this isn't the reality, but it feels impossible to shift. And it's kind of like, I don't know whether you're afraid to go into, where's the fear coming up? Because the fear comes up when there's no understanding. So what's really, where is the fear coming here? It's like the fear is of the fear. So it's like fearing the unknown and fearing the fear of the unknown. You can't really put a finger on what you're afraid of. And that's a difficult fear to deal with because it's just there. It's just kind of lurking. If you happen to know your astrology pretty well, this is reminding me of like a Scorpio South node where you knew there's this semblance that the childhood was traumatic, but you can't exactly say why. And it's not just the Scorpio South node. There are other placements in the chart that can do this. Pluto in the first house can do this. I would think Pluto in the fourth house can do this as well. Or opposite the midheaven, Pluto opposite midheaven can cause this kind of feeling. So there's just a nebulous, like your childhood had this fear in it. So perhaps there was a toxic situation growing up, both parents arguing, or it wasn't safe in your house. That is at the root of why this child feels so robbed of the joy. And past and future, our past is Eight of Pentacles, and Eight of Pentacles is what you're creating, but also what has been created. And it's the discipline to create. So I think what this Eight of Pentacles is saying is that you possess the power to really create a different future, one that is healed. The Ten of Cups, this would be the healthy family life where everyone belongs and accepts others. There's just a total connection and a wisdom of the heart that's shared, and that kind of wonderful companionship. And look, this is interesting. You see how the Prince of Wands has this big rainbow sweep happening? Well, the man on this King of, or Ten of Cups, he's wearing the rainbow on his clothing. So it's like that masculine becomes healed and he becomes the embodiment of those healthy, open, creative chakras. So you create this healing space. So I think what I'm trying to say is in the future, I do see healing for you. And it seems like there is some headway made with a family situation that was inharmonious or unharmonious in the past. We've got the butterflies. Okay, I'm going to keep going with these cards. Your advice from your higher self is Five of Swords. This is a tough card because it is the head at war with the heart. Why is the head at war with the heart, please? I know this is related to the moon for you, but I need to know why. There is a truth that you're not allowing yourself to fully see or to fully accept. And this is a very difficult truth. And, I remember one day, I think it was about a month ago, where I had been holding this idea about someone in my life, thinking that they had my back and thinking that they truly loved me and truly supported me. And I had all these dreams come that showed me the truth. And that when I looked at the dreams and I woke up and I said, oh, wait a minute, and I looked back at this person's behavior, I saw that I had been totally hoodwinked. I had been totally living in my own lie because I didn't want to see. I just didn't, it was like they were too close, or I was projecting my own self onto them and I just wasn't able to see them for who they really were. And that's kind of what I feel like is happening with this Five of Swords, is that there are certain truths that you don't want to see and you don't want to admit to yourself. Okay. Certain truths like, yeah, I'm in an abusive relationship, or yes, he or she is a narcissist. I was reading Carole King's biography a long time ago, and she had, I can't remember, 2 or 3 husbands, maybe 4, but one of them was abusive. He was a drug user and he was physically abusive to her. And this was when she was at the height of her success. And she said to herself, this can't be happening to me. I'm Carole King. This doesn't happen to me. I came from a middle class background. I'm very successful. I've got everything I need. My children are grown and happy. She couldn't believe and accept that this kind of thing that she had associated with a different life circumstance was actually happening to her. And really kind of a wonderful story from that, because she came out and was public about her abuse. She really inspired other women to be okay with their situations and to speak out and leave. Because when we're in an abusive situation, there's a lot of shame that we feel. Shame to ourselves that we're letting ourselves be there, shame as to what other people are going to think about this. And it can be very hard to leave, even just from the shame alone, let alone, the dance that you're doing with the other person. Just the shame makes it difficult to want to leave. And it's that type of heavy energy that I feel here with the Five of Swords. But your higher self is saying to you, look, yes, on one side it's black and scary and it looks like the hearts are all broken. But on the other side, the hearts are still staying full. Your cup is still going to be full. 10 of Cups, this is still going to work out okay. All right. And it's worse to be living in this fear, really, because it's the fear of admitting to yourself what the truth is. And I have to tell you from my own experience that the fear of the truth is much worse than the truth itself. Okay? Sometimes, when I was in a relationship that it needed to happen, but there were elements in it that were not healthy. And I was afraid to see it for what it was. But when the day came and the truth actually hit and I looked at it, I had already gone through the hell. That's it. I'd already gone through the hell. The truth was actually the relief. Okay, so you're already in the worst part of it. All right, now your influence from the outside, we've got the Chariot. And there's 2 messages coming with this. You have people in your camp that understand what you're going through, that really want you to move through this, that are like cheering you on, ready for you to get this, ready for you to move forward. At the same time, you may be feeling pressure to appear a certain way, that you've got everything in control and that you are pushing through this. And I want to just say to you, it's okay to not hold that facade up. You know what you need. You need this alone time. You need this time to be introspective. You don't have to show up as having all your ducks in a row. So know that sometimes when people want something so badly for you, they want you to seem positive, or they want to see you happy. And sometimes that force is kind of well-meaning, but it's a force, right? They still want to encourage you. They still want you to do well, but they don't want to see you sad, or they don't want to see you kind of just neutral, or in this place of healing. Because to them, looking at it, it seems like you're still sad, or you're still in grief, and they may be trying to buoy you up more than you're really ready for. So be unafraid to exert those boundaries. We've had the number 4 show up 3 times. And 4 to me is the number of boundaries of, okay, thank you, but I need to close the door right now. Or I really appreciate your care and concern. I've got it under control, but I do need a little time to myself. I'm not quite ready to show up in public yet. That kind of thing. And speaking of a 4, hopes and fears card, we've got the death. And this is kind of a cliche thing, to hope and fear death. But you long for the transformation, and yet you're also fearing the transformation. And again, the death card is associated with Pluto. I talked about Pluto and heavy Scorpio placements. Death to me is Scorpio because it is that phoenix rising, especially on this card. The letting go of the old to become the new. But understanding that death is it's not just pushing a button or snapping a finger. It can be a difficult process. And the funny thing about this is, whatever you have been through is harder than the death card. Whatever you've been through is harder than what you fear. So you've already done the hard part. I think the challenge here is just surrendering to that change, surrendering to the path, surrendering to where the death card is trying to bring you new life. I love the image on this card. The skeleton is actually holding a ball of light. And whether that's the old life force or it's the beginning of a new life force for you, just know that you are going to begin a new life force. But this is a very scary death because it's such a deep death. It's not just like I went and had a makeover and suddenly I'm different, or suddenly I changed my wardrobe and now I'm this, glamorous, put together, whatever. It's more than that. It's really the death of the roots, the death of your roots. Because the truth of the matter is, on the human level, you came into a family whose roots had a little bit of disease. And I'm saying little bit to be poetic, but the roots had disease. And even though there were some healthy roots, because you had to grow from somewhere, you can't compartmentalize a tree. If one root is diseased, eventually all those other roots are going to be touched as well. And you've been in this process of cutting away all of those decaying and dysfunctional roots. And for some, this has meant literally walking away from family members, or putting very strong boundaries around other family members, and really coming to terms with the fact that, hey, you don't fit in your family. Hey, you're different. Or perhaps either you reject your family or you feel rejected by your family. And that's, this is tough to go through, because we're told that family is important. We grow up believing that family is important and we need family around us. But the death is saying that we don't need to fear cutting off these ancestral roots, because we can always create our true families. Our true families are actually our soul families. Our families that are connected through the heart, our families that are connected through people who have been through the same things that we have and who want the same things, who don't just want to live in the trauma, who want to create a better tomorrow, and who want to really heal and experience the love and the light that they came here to experience. That's your true family. The family that we incarnate with often don't they don't often have soul connections to us. They can, but it's not the norm. So understanding that when we release these toxic roots, we not only release ourselves from these legacies of family trees that make more and more and more diseased patterns, but we actually become the next evolved part of the species. We become the stronger version of the tree. We become the better adapted version of the tree, or plant, or whatever it is, whatever metaphor you want. Okay, last card here. Nine of Wands is our highest potential. Almost there, okay? You've got the dark, look at this is amazing. The dark and the light wolves are now sitting on either side. So the highest potential here is that you have the shadow and the light figured out. You figured out which part is diseased, which part is healthy, and you've got it managed. And you're tapped into that cosmic wisdom. And what I like here is that his staff is touching the moon, whereas the moon was dominating the subconscious. It's like you understand how all of this lines up together, and it's clear which way your path needs to go. He's got the sun rising behind his head and 4 wands on each side. So again, that double boundaries. I won't say that at this point you're like done, you're all the way through, but you're really close to the end. You are absolutely, and this time it's just a matter of holding that space of strength. And that is the path forward for now, is to just hold yourself in that space of strength where you know what's what, which one, and where you're headed. But it's kind of like we just have to hold it there for a second before it can completely fall away, and you have to hold your ground there with it for a second before it can completely fall away. I'm trying to think of a good metaphor for you here, and I'm coming up a little bit short. It's just like sometimes, if I'm having a problem with electronics and I turn off the computer, I have to let it sit for a second before I turn it back on. Because I don't know if this has ever happened to you, where you turn it off and then you turn it on right away and it still has the same problem. But if you just let it sit a moment and you let that energy just kind of settle, then you can really restart again, and it's fine. It boots up just fine. That's kind of what I feel like is happening here, is that we just need to hold your position and say, you're proving to yourself, proving to your higher self that that you really want this. And the longer you hold it, the more that shadow says, oh, I don't belong here. And then it just dissipates on its own. Okay. I really want to offer my encouragement to you, because this was not an easy reading. This isn't easy stuff that you're dealing with, but you've got everything you need. You're doing the right things, and just keep going. Okay, if you're looking for even more personalized guidance, please do check out my website, soulguidancewithadriana.com. It's in the description. Link is in the description below. I specialize in offering not only deep but practical spiritual advice for those on the spiritual path. How do I take what my soul wrote for me and put it in play in my work, in my relationships, in my calling? How do I do that? If you're asking those kinds of questions, please do get in touch, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon.